Apologize to everybody online. We're locked out of the high school, so we're a little late getting started. But it's now 7:13. I'll call the meeting to order. It is August 12th, 2024. So typically, as I always do, a roll call vote of who's with us tonight. So start on the left. Tim Lombard.
Present.
Scott Terechek.
Present.
Dr. Miranda.
Present.
Carrie Hurley.
Present.
Mark Laurie.
Here.
John Cohen.
Here.
And I do not see Glenn online yet. So Sean O'Rourke here. All right. Second thing on the agenda is citizen speak. So we reserve the first 15 minutes of the meeting for any citizen that wants to speak. We have nobody with us tonight. The only thing we ask is if you are here to speak on Citizen Speak, please raise your hand. And then when we promote you, just state your name and address. I'll give it a minute and just see if anybody has their hand raised. And seeing none. All right, we'll move on. Third thing on the agenda is approval of past meeting minutes, Monday, July 29th, 2024. So everybody got those in their packets. So just see if there's any questions or comments. God bless you.
The only two things that I see is I was listed as, I think if I read this right, I was listed as abstaining, but I voted no on the two recommendations.
You are correct. Yep. I'll correct that.
Perfect. Any other comments? So with the minor corrections, entertain any emotions to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Second by Scott. Further discussion? Hearing none. We're all present, so we don't have to do a roll call thing. So all those in favor? Aye. Oh yeah, sorry.
With the amendment when you say
Yeah, that's it.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically do it that way, so we don't have to bring them back for next time.
Yeah.
So all right. So all those in favor? Aye. There we go. Perfect. All right. Agenda item. Go back to the agenda. Item 4, old business. So item 4A, which is project schedule update and next steps. So for those of you, and again, just double check, just make sure Glenn didn't jump on before we jump into this. So as everyone's aware, at the select board meeting last time, we didn't make the November vote. The information provided at select board from the chair was he's open to putting this on in May. So for us right now, that's kind of our target that we're looking at for that. So for us to do that, couple things have to come out. So first off, there was a lot of additional items that were requested as part of this. As everybody knows, we run out of funding in September. So we're going to need additional funding. We can talk about that as a separate topic. And then secondly, after the funding, the additional design we're doing, we need to make that work for an assumed spring ballot question that's going to be there. So that's kind of, for me, what I'm looking at for a timeline and stuff. And I'll just kind of, if we could, let's talk first about what we think the overall timeline is, what steps we need to do, and then we can jump into funding afterwards if that works. So in regards to schedule, any questions, comments?
Just a thing.
Sure.
From we're talking about any vote. So at what point would it have to get approved before to get on the ballot for May?
So let's go ahead. That's going to be a to-do list that we're going to need from you as our liaison to the select board. So, our big thing we're going to need now are kind of working points or dates for that stuff. So, again, assuming a May or the chair had said a spring. So I don't know exactly if it's May, if he's aligning it with the elections in April. But just basically what that date would be for that ballot question. And then basically similar to what we just went through for a November election or ballot question, it was August deadline. So if it's whatever date in the spring, work it backwards to let us know when that has to be acted on by the select board, if you could.
Okay.
Thank you.
there's two things there, right? There's the, obviously the, when the final number that we're about the town, if it's 173 or the chance for that date. There's also the date of like the select board voting to put it on April, right? It has to, I assume, happen earlier. I don't know where that falls within April. And I assume they could do that tomorrow, right? Or, you know, just whenever. Essentially, there'd be nothing stopping that, but also knowing what that drop dead date is for accounting both of those instances.
Yeah.
I did see in here, didn't you see in the meeting notes somewhere?
Yep.
The first step, actually, we were rushing for the November ballot, but I thought in here somewhere I saw the amount that's stated first, and that's the meeting.
Yeah, so there's two parts to it.
Right.
There's the debt exclusion that doesn't have a number to it that we talked about at the last meeting. Then there's a warrant article that would go in front of town meeting that would have the number on it.
Right.
But the timeline, because you'll have to submit the ballot question to the Secretary of State for approval, similar to what we're just going through for last week. To hit November's ballot question, you had to submit in August.
That's off the tip, yeah.
I understand. But in the spring, if it's May, you got to do that same backwards work to find out what that drop dead date is to get it to the Secretary of State.
But the order is amount voted first, then exclusion.
It can be
It can be.
either.
It hasn't typically been.
Yep.
But we're not even talking
Amount
about,
first.
we're talking about the work the select board has to do to even put it on.
Correct.
Again, both the town meeting for them to vote, right? Select board
Right.
has to vote to create the warrant.
Right.
And to put it on the ballot for the town to vote.
Correct.
So
Both of those things happen before either of them happen. Like just.
yeah,
Both of those things have to happen, like, I don't know,
Sure.
let's say like by March 1st, right, whatever the secretary date is, that the secretary would be informed that Milton is looking for an override.
Yep.
Right,
Not at all. Debt exclusion.
debt exclusion,
exclusion.
debt exclusion override.
Yeah. But typically I'm told the town meeting vote of the amount happens first.
Which is what, it's what we were aiming to do
Yes.
leading up to November.
So-
We were gonna ask for a special meeting, special town meeting in order for that to be voted before that. I imagine in the spring, we would be doing the same thing, taking advantage of town meeting, if it all aligns.
so yeah, so let me take us back a little bit, right? So let's just focus on the first thing that we got to do is we have to get a deadline to figure out. Well, I think the first thing is figure out when the ballot question is going to be, if in fact there's going to be a ballot question in the spring. Once we know that date, that's going to work backwards to the drop dead date for the Secretary of State. That's the one I want to focus on right now because that's the one that just passed. That's for November, right? So if you rough math, it's like 3 months difference, right? So if we're doing a May vote, go backwards from May, April, March, probably like end of February sometime.
Yeah.
So if it's end of February, again, this is theoretical, but just if it's the end of February, which is the deadline that we just passed, we're going to be before you guys again, asking you guys to support a question in the spring. So the chair's already said it's, would support it. You said you'd support it if there was no debt exclusion. I mean, no override. So for me, knowing this, that would swing 2 of the votes. We would be on in the spring. So for us, what we're trying to do is figure out what that date is for that, so that the questions you guys ask, we can get all the consultants to get those answers for you. That's kind of where I'm at with everything. Then if there is a May debt exclusion, 1 second, then yes, we have to work towards a town meeting to get a warrant article with the number associated with it. And that's like that separate path that I was showing before. We go in front of the warrant committee, select board would do it. We'd have a town meeting ideally before the ballot question. So everybody would know what the number is when they go to vote on it for a ballot question.
That has to come first. Yep. Or the ballot is approved.
Well, it doesn't have to, but typically it does. I agree. And I would want it to be just hold on 1 second. Sorry. I would want it to be before it so everybody knows what the number is that they're voting on. I think that's kind of what you're saying too.
Yeah.
Correct.
No,
Mark. If we could, just because a lot of people are going to talk, just have me recognize some people just so this, I appreciate it. Thank you. Mark, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not getting the same 30 here. So I feel like y'all are actually saying 2 slightly different things.
Sure.
So I just want to be clear on, as as I see it, the timeline is again, first step is the select board has to vote to inform the secretary of the debt exclusion. Okay. Right.
No.
Okay, so that is different than, so what are you thinking the first step is?
The first step is town meeting has to vote the amount.
That's incorrect.
Huh?
It's incorrect.
No, you would
Okay,
do the.
if- Yeah,
Okay, but
No,
I'll have to find out and be correct.
so let's go back.
So we're gonna put
Let-
it on the ballot with no amount.
Correct. That's how the language is actually done. That's how the fire stations were done. That's how every debt exclusion is done
I
throughout the
guess
state.
then I withhold my comments until I do
That's-
the research.
Okay. The language that I put up previously that had it there is basically the exact language that they did all the fire stations with. It's to exclude you from the constraints of the Prop 2.5. The dollar value, as you mentioned, is what town meeting votes on and is on there. And then when the ballot question is presented to the voters, they know what that dollar value is based on the town meeting vote.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. The comment stands, I gotta do research and find out.
Yeah, if I could go back, let's go back a week from tonight,
Mhm.
right? We asked the select board to put this on the ballot for November.
Mhm.
Did we have a town meeting between that? No, the first thing we were doing was going to the Secretary of State. So I think that's what Mr. Loring's trying to talk about is the very first step, just by the way the scheduling will work out, is that we'd have to go to the Secretary of State. So to be clear, that's the date I need from you and the select board for a May.
Truth is, they can happen in either direction.
Correct. But what I'm asking is for the select board.
That's all I'm saying.
Yep, for the select board. One sec,
That's the truth.
Mark, go for it.
I guess the issue is that creates a half-year delay, right? If you're having a town meeting in April that is voting on the number, and then you're waiting until July 31st to inform inform the Secretary of State the number, and then you're having a townwide vote in November. You've now gone from April to
So we
November.
need a
So just
second.
to be clear, guys, there's a lot of variables we're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's just focus on spring. All right. So that's what the chair of the select board has said, that he'll put it on the spring. What that date is in the spring,
And an exception.
there was no exception to
The
his.
exception was $173 million. It's too much money. It's ridiculous for the town.
That is for the town.
Huh?
That is not what the chair said.
Hopefully, I don't know.
The
That's exactly, he said it would, he talked to other towns and they said it was totally. I don't know, I'll have to look at it crazy, but I'll
That's
get it
fine.
and play it.
no, that's
He
fine.
certainly did.
The key thing is that's not for the town to decide. I mean, that's not for the select board to decide. It's not, it's for the voters. It really is. And if he thinks it's too much and is against the project, as I've said a million times, then put it to the voters and let it fail. But to just kill it without letting the voters vote on it, I don't know how you defend that. I don't. You know what I mean? If you personally feel,
That the select board has to approve the ballot question. Why is it there? Why is it there?
it is it's a statutory requirement.
Huh?
It's a statutory requirement.
So they can only vote yes.
No, it's not that.
So they can,
But hold on, Scott. But if it's not crafted legally, or if it's not in context for a town, then they can vote no. But to vote no because I agree. It's already done. What I'm asking for is simple. Is a May that regardless of the number, we can put that aside, right? For now. Whatever he said, he talked about a May townwide ballot. And all we're looking for is a date by which we can work towards. That's it. I mean, that the work of this committee, we worked for 5 years to get where we're at right now, right? We're offering and we're willing to work for another 5 years if we need to. But the reality is there's a date in the spring that we need to aim for. And right now that date is undetermined. So we need you as select board liaison to talk to the select board in open session, figure out what that date is and just get it back to us, or, have it discussed in open session so that we're all aware of when it is, and that allows us to kind of work towards a date. Because like right now, the architects are out of money come September. We need to refund them, which will be our next topic that we're going to talk about for our next steps. And then there's a lot of concerns that were brought up, which are fine, and we'll work towards answering them. But to do that, we need additional funding to do that. So, but again, just kind of back on schedule. Like I think for us, and all we want is just what that scheduled date is. Like my guess is if it's a spring ballot question, the Secretary of State just using November to August as an extrapolation. We're going to need that date's probably going to be sometime end of February. So what that means is
Closer to the beginning of February. Yeah.
sometime.
Just look on, maybe we set February 1 as a tentative till we're here.
I'm fine with that. For me, we need to give direction to the architects, to the consultants to say, hey, here are the things we need done. This is the deadline by which we need it. So it's not considered rushed. That's all.
So am I asking, what does the select board need to put the debt exclusion on the spring? Is that what I'm asking?
Yeah, so technically it would be two things. That which date in the spring would be the ballot question? Like, are they going to align it with a townwide election in April? If so, that's fine. And then basically based on that date, what is the drop dead date that they have to report to the Secretary of State? Similar to last Tuesday was the deadline for November. There's a similar deadline if you're going in April that's going to back us into, like we're saying, around February or something like that.
I'll email with you.
Totally fine.
Clarify.
Sure.
So I make sure I got it.
Yeah, I mean, I can script it out for you.
Yeah, just so I make sure I'm asking asking them what you want me to ask them.
Sure.
I can't type that. So.
No, totally fine. It gets complicated, and just from going through the previous exercise that we did, that's why I'm, well versed in it all right now. It was a punch. But essentially, our next steps too, for us, like we talked about, the architects and all that are going to hit kind of the end of their schematic design. Probably our next meeting, they'll have stuff for us to look at. And then essentially after that, their contract is complete. So they would be out of funds, on hold, on pause until we refund them. So the next ask to the select board is going to be
Right.
date on fall town meeting, because for fall town meeting, we're going to need to put a warrant article together for additional funding. So that's the second ask. And I can send it in an email if you need to. But essentially for that, we'll need to know what the anticipated date of the town meeting is, when a warrant's going to be, articles are going to be due, the whole process to get to that town meeting, because we're going to need additional funding. So the funding by which we're going to need is significant. So as everybody knows, the previous work that we did, the architects worked for, it was roughly $475,000, which was much lower than what they typically do for that phase. So on the next phase that we're doing, we can't say, can you give us a discount again for that? The funding that they're looking at right now. So for the building design that we're looking at now to get it to DD, or DD is what again?
Design development.
Yeah. And construction documents for the roadway. So for design development of the buildings to basically so we've been dealing right now, essentially with the architects only. They have narratives of all the trades, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural, landscape, civil, everything there. They're now going to start engaging all those subconsultants to do that. It's expensive. And to get the questions that people are asking, you got to do it. So the design fee is about $2.9 million to do. The other one that we want to do too is get construction documents for the roadway. The roadway is the first phase that we talked about, moving the roadway to clear the site. So that's going to full construction documents, and that's going to parlay along with the building because we're bringing utilities up to it. So that the design of those together is very nice. That one's about 1.1 million. So rough numbers, we're talking about $4 million. that's only for the architects and the engineers. The OPMs also have a fee on top of that too. So, come the fall, it's, a significant amount of money that we're going to be requesting. Yep.
What is the time frame for our need to refund the OPM?
They say refund the OPM.
But in the similar
Further
manner,
fund.
we're talking refund them, not refund them. Refund them.
Yeah.
Fund them again.
Fund them again.
What's our
Sorry, I was like, we're not giving back any money. We're good.
they have to pay us.
When do we have to refund you?
I sat on quick side note. I sat on a designer selection committee for construction managers students 2 weeks ago at Wentworth, and one of these kids tried to come up with a crafty way, like they're selling a business, and whatever we come in below, we're going to give you back half. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, never believe a contract. I tell you that. So back to the question of refunding. It would be along those same timelines. The better thing is we saw at the last meeting, OPM has been running below budget, so there's plenty of budget for them to keep working with us now. So I think that might be where you're going. Come September, the architects are complete. Our friends here, we still got
Good. And whenever we get left in the first phase, we would just roll into the second phase. So if there's money, we would refund.
they refund
into the next phase.
Yeah, Scott.
That looks like Aqua joined.
Oh, did he? I apologize, Aqua. Thank you. Pull him up. Give him a second in case he wants to talk too. Hey, Aqua, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. And I like the proposal for refunding.
Okay. Hang on 1 second. Let me just switch that speaker so people hear.
There we go. Can you talk again, Aqua? Sorry, I was on my laptop, not the meeting owl.
I'm saying I'm following all the discussions and I like the idea for refunding.
Yeah, I think everybody does. We'll wait till we get to the overall project when we're in the 173 million, refund that. So it'll be good. So for right now, that's kind of, come the fall, there's going to be an ask for funding for this to kind of go through. So for the fall town meeting, that's again where we're going to kind of need the dates associated with that. And then those dates will basically tell us the work we have to do, finalize proposals from them, develop the warrant article, present the warrant article, go through that whole thing to get in front of town meeting for people to vote on. So, and again, I apologize for all the requests, but I can script all that out and send it to you.
And is that budget available? The OPM budget, is that available? When
Yeah,
talking to them, or I'll have.
Yep, I can send it to you.
Okay.
So on the last one, as we mentioned, their invoices that they had the overall what they've invoiced to date, and then we're going to have them put in their overall budget number there, so you can see the percentage expended.
Okay. And that's the whole budget for the two of them?
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
No, sorry, I'm done.
I think the contract is in the folder too, that they usually.
Yeah.
So the same thing for Aero Streets.
Yeah,
Send out that link just so you have it on the top of your inbox.
So the Arrow Street contract is a lump sum contract. So they've billed up to this point $200,000.
Seen that in their invoices, right?
Yep. And so basically by September they'll have expended all
So
that.
that's the whole budget, it's just the two consultants.
Yeah, and we have, so Scott's been keeping track of our overall budget that we have allocated to the committee. I think there's minimal left over from what, we had. I do this off the top of my head. May town meeting in 23, we got 275,000, and then last year's fall town meeting in December, we got 475,000. The 475 was allocated mainly towards the architects. The 275 we got was mainly towards the OPMs. And whatever's left over there, we can talk to Amy Dexter and get the overall tally of kind of where we got there. If you want that.
Amy's good, yeah.
Yeah, if you're talking to Amy, feel free to
Yeah, okay.
ask her for it. So I think that covers project schedule update and next steps. Any general questions or anything like that's, what I'm seeing is basically the next steps for everything moving forward. much of the, design fee do we want to ask for, do you think, in the fall? That's the design fee we'd have to ask for. So that is not the overall design fee.
Right.
That's just to get us to our next step.
Okay.
That
That
is
close out the road portion, but would not close out the building design.
correct. So we'd be a design development timeline for the building. We'd still have to go to construction documents for the building. So the typical fees, yep,
CDs and CA post CDs.
correct. So what the anticipation would be similar to the fire station building committee, they were funded to get their design going, get it along, and then when the overall project was funded, it had all the soft costs built into it. And then what they did is they took the debt that was there and just rolled it into the overall project. So, for example, if it's 173 million that we're asking for, that includes the soft costs that we're already doing. So all the costs that we're doing now will get refunded. All right, it would be part of that overall ask. So essentially, we would bond the whole project and then replenish the small debt that we're taking out for this now. So that's kind of a timeline or process by which we would bond the $4 million in this fall. And then assuming we pass it in the spring, it would then get rolled into that overall project. So the remainder of funding, the remainder that's there, we'll find out what those numbers are from the architects and stuff. After last week, I was asking them to say, fall town meeting is going to come up really quick. You know what I mean? Typically, warrant committee and stuff like that is a couple months before, just to give them enough time. They're not going to do this in one night, I can guarantee it. So, we're going to need to have multiple meetings with them. I'm sure the select board's going to want further information from us and the OPM and the architects. So, yeah. So just, again, the better we have that timeline, the better we can kind of focus these meetings and lead up to it.
So will we get a formal request for information from the select board on all of these outstanding items that they want before?
Yeah.
I'm asking, I have no idea.
I guess it comes down to what we get.
Well,
I mean, if we get all the data, we don't need to do that.
But that goes into what we talked about in the last meeting is like, we need a script, a full to-do list from the select board.
Okay.
Because, honestly, when we met originally for this, there were certain questions that were asked. We got all those questions answered. Then there was another set of questions that were asked. Fine. We just need a final set of questions, answers. We'll get them for you. But my concern is we answer all these, specifically the energy model. As a HERS rater, you know what goes into an energy model from a design perspective. So that's why we need to take this up to a much higher level to get those answers for you.
Yep.
So to do that, we need that final list of things, because we can't get to the spring when a whole new list of questions come up saying, we're not going to vote on this because of this. We need you guys, you've seen everything we've seen. You've got the presentations, you've got me if you get questions between now and whenever you need it. Call me in, ask me the questions. If I can't answer them, we'll put a list together. But we need a finite list of questions for those. We'll answer them all for you. And that's, like I said at the last meeting, the goal here, I think everybody agrees, is to get to a yes, to build the school, right? The one concern you had was timing previously with the operational override and stuff. But overall, I don't know why anybody would be sitting at this table, you know what I mean? If we're here to build the school, all right? That's truly how I feel.
No,
If people feel differently.
I just want the same thing. I
No, I
want
know.
to be able to get to a point where all the i's are dotted, all the t's are crossed, and we feel like we've produced all of the information possible to get us to a yes. So that's why I'm asking that question.
Okay.
Why I have to ask the question about the 173, because I thought I got to ask that question, because I thought that was his objection. So I got to.
No, and that's fine.
I got to ask that question of him.
Oh, yeah. If that's what we need to know that, because we don't want to go there and have that 173.
Exactly.
That's it. No problem. Any other questions? All right.
I guess
Yes,
my
sir.
question is,
Yeah.
I think we will have Are we meeting in 2 weeks? Do we think we'll have this information in 2 weeks? Like, I think a lot of this to me feels like necessary in order to have some productivity here for the next.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna meet in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
You never do that on purpose.
Who is that?
Reminder?
Watch. I don't know.
Never do it on purpose.
Yeah, because I don't think, I gotta check, but we
No,
don't
but-
think we meet till the 27th.
Yeah, I just the rhythm of meetings at this time of year with school starting back up, the whole, Labor Day coming and stuff. I don't,
Yeah.
and the architects aren't gonna really have anything for us. I think, we've done a lot of work over the summer. Like literally, we met every Monday in June. We've done everything. So on top of that, thank you guys for doing all that. But I think we're gonna pause till probably when we get to the last agenda item, talking about next meeting dates. Probably sometime, after school starts in September, we'll all come back and have that. And they'll give you, Ms. Cohen, some time to kind of, we can go back and forth. I'll send you an email of what those things are.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sure there may be further discussions that we have to have.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
And we'll run through that. We'll get that, everything aligned, and then we can come back our next meeting, kind of knowing that. I don't think we're gonna know in May. I can know what the dates will be for the spring. At least we get that conversation going. My bigger concern is the fall town meeting, because that one's gonna come up really quick. So that's, to ask if you could, request to get that on the agenda at the next select board meeting, just so it's talked about, so.
Well, we'll talk about the list of, you and I, we'll put that together.
Yeah, the list is
Yeah.
cool, but for like, the
But
big.
that's part of the list, the fall, having a fall town meeting.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest concern I have right now is this whole project goes on pause in September.
Right.
The entire project.
Yeah.
So because it goes on pause, it's like, okay, now we're getting delayed. I mean,
Yeah.
the fall 2027 is gone. We're not hitting fall 2027. So
What's our completion? Yeah.
we are not hitting that. So, prior to you joining the select board, my meeting on there, like I said to him, I said, when I announced fall 2027, I said all green lights, no blinking yellows, no reds, no blinking reds.
Yeah.
So my concern is with this, we're at a blinking red right now, right? And if we don't have the fall town meeting and we don't have funding, it's a red light. Because now we're on hold till May. That funding doesn't come back until July, June, end of June, beginning of July fiscal year. So that means we're on pause September to July, which we can't do.
Mhm.
So that's my criticality right now, or my highest thing is the fall town meeting. Okay. All good? Cool. All right, the next ones are easy. Land swap, all right? Item 4B, land swap update. We don't have to talk about land swap anymore. Land swap is law. The governor signed it. We're done. Then, any questions?
Thank you for all your.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of hard work.
Yes.
Well,
Well done.
Hold on. No, it was the town administrator, the town council put a lot of work into this, the three of us were on calls, doing this back after the land swap passed, getting the alternative analysis and everything done, so. We can delete that from the agenda going
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. All right. Any other questions? All right, cool. Item 4C, project budget overview. So I think that's what we were just talking about too, as part of next steps. And so for funding, like we said, the architects out of funding come September. For OPM will still be on with us. They'll be here taking notes. Thank you. And that leads into item 4D, review and approve project invoices.
Which we have none. I didn't
We had
get
none in the
anything.
packet.
Yeah, nothing to present.
Moving right along.
No invoices, that's nice. No.
Out of that refund. Item 5, future meeting dates, next SBC meeting. So like I said, we'll probably push it off a bit. So, just looking at the calendar right now, I would think either the 9th or the 16th. So just kind of seeing we have a lot of members here, and Aqua, speak up if either of those dates don't work for you. Whatever works best, I'll defer to the committee. You're always traveling, so no.
No, those are both good. I'm just suggesting we go with the earlier one, anticipating the need to prepare things for that, fall town meeting, like that's a week.
Like that train of thought. So 9th, good. All right, Aqua, 9th, good for you, sir.
9th works. I'm assuming I can also join by Zoom.
Yeah, we're gonna have to change. I'm gonna start making you come in now. Summer's over.
Summer's over. Okay, I thought it just started. I got the memo late.
All right, so September 9th is our next one. All right, item 6, adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
I'll move the motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right, Tim seconds it, and because Aqua's here, it's a roll call vote, so. Ms. Lombard,
Yes.
Sarah Shed, yes. Dr. Miranda,
Yes.
Carrie Hurley.
Yes.
Mark Loring,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Mr. Ibong,
Yes.
and Mr. O'Rourke, yes. Thank you very much. See you in September.